Welcome to Hannity. Tonight, the Obama administration continues to betray our fallen troops who died fighting in Iraq. They do nothing while ISIS continues to capture key cities that they won. Now, here's how White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest described the situation earlier today. Listen to this.
As with any military effort, there will be days of progress, and there are going to be periods of setback. And again, that's something the president said back in October, and I think that over the course of the last 4 or 5 days, we've seen all of this.
Would you say that overall the strategy has been a success?
Well, John, yeah. I mean, overall, yes. Are we going to light our hair on fire every time that there is a setback?
Light our hair on fire every time there's a setback? This is not the first time the administration has dismissed Ramadi's importance. You may remember this.
The city itself is, it's not symbolic in any way. It's not been declared, part of the caliphate on one hand or central to the future of Iraq. But we want to get it back. I mean, the issue here is not brick and mortar. It's about defeating ISIL. So, as I said, I would much rather that Ramadi not fall, but it won't be the end of a campaign should it fall.
Now, General Dempsey later took back those comments, but that's only after the mother of the first Navy SEAL to die in Iraq demanded an apology. Joining me now are the mother of that fallen SEAL, the founder of the President of America's Mighty Warriors, Debbie Lee is with us, whose son Mark, he made the ultimate sacrifice in Ramadi. And former Navy SEAL Leif Babin is with us, who also fought alongside of Mark. Thank you both for being with us. Ms. Lee, first of all, I'm sorry about the loss of your son. You see that, first it was Tikrit that later got back in the right hands, Fallujah, Mosul, Ramadi, where your son died. You watch these cities go, and then we hear press secretary, we can't light our hair on fire every time we have a setback. What is your reaction to that?
First they were saying there was no symbolic if it did fall. Then they watched as the comments from General Dempsey, and now that it's falling, they're making up excuses. We have blood on that soil. My son's blood is on that soil. So many others have sacrificed greatly for that area. And it just shows that there's things we could be doing differently there. There's tactics that could be employed that we could make a difference over there. And now they're only emblazoned to go further and go into Baghdad and take that area as well.
Well, Ms. Lee, we played this last night. The president, when he pulled out, said, oh, everything is great. Everything's going to be fine. And obviously his strategy is not working. George Bush warned about this. Let me remind everybody what he said in 2007 would happen if we pulled out too early. Here was his prediction.
Begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we are ready would be dangerous for Iraq, for the region, and for the United States. It would mean surrendering the future of Iraq to al-Qaeda. It would mean that we'd be risking mass killings on a horrific scale. It would mean we allow the terrorists to establish a safe haven in Iraq to replace the one they lost in Afghanistan. It would mean increasing the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous.
All of that has now come true. Your son lost his life there. What do you want to say to the president that made this decision? In other words, do they regret pulling out too early? Apparently not, based on what Josh Earnest said.
Well, and that's one of the things that I talked about and was very vocal about when they pulled everybody out, that we needed to leave troops there to stabilize that area. They weren't ready yet to take that over by themselves. And just like President Bush, I said that's the outcome. That's what we're going to see. That's what's going to be happening. Mark wrote an amazing last letter home. And I was speaking at an event today and read that again. He says it will take longer than most think, but we will get Iraq to stand on its own feet. And I saw that. I went over in 2007, and then I went back in 2010. I saw the difference our troops had made. I saw the successes. And because we didn't leave troops there to stabilize, now it's in the hands of ISIS, and that's gut-wrenching to me to know the sacrifices that have been made there. We need to see our commander-in-chief allow our men and women who are the best military in the world to go in there and do what they do well and stabilize that country. And it's unconscionable to me. We heard from President Bush, who was a real commander-in-chief, who loved his troops. And the man that is serving today, it's it's unbelievable. that he doesn't allow our troops to do, and give them policies and rules of engagement that let them be successful over there. It's unconscionable.
You were there. You knew Debbie Lee's son. You know, my question is, all these questions about Iraq to Republican candidates would be, knowing what you know now about the war in Iraq, would you have still pulled the troops out? I'd like Hillary and Obama to answer that question. What's your reaction to the fall of the city that you fought to liberate?
I was proud to serve alongside Mark. He was a great SEAL teammate and friend. And, you know, he sacrificed his life. We had two other guys, Mike Monsoor, Ryan Job, that sacrificed their lives, and so many other soldiers and Marines that fought bravely in those cities, hundreds wounded. We won. We won that war. The level of violence was radically lowered. And you know, unfortunately, I think my big issue here is it's not about numbers of troops that would have been left behind. It's about a failure of leadership. This is, we have a clear case here of leaders who do not understand.
You won the war, but we didn't secure the victory. Is that true?
That is true.
And if we would have left intelligence and training forces on the ground, would that victory still be secure today?
Under this leadership, I actually don't think so. I think that we have a president and senior commanders like General Dempsey who are not allowing our troops to actually go out and fight an evil enemy, as evil an enemy as the U.S. military has ever faced. And we absolutely could have prevented Ramadi from falling with a small number, maybe a couple of thousand troops on the ground, and some support from tanks and now
aircraft. They have all our military equipment. All right.
We could have dealt them a huge strategic blow, and instead we handed them a victory.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for being with us. Debbie Lee, I'm sorry about the loss of your son. It's unbelievable the way these events have unfolded. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Just remember Memorial Day and the sacrifices that have been made for our country.
Yes, ma'am.